It's going to be a very filled evening. I'm very much looking forward to it. We have Dr. Jon Mundy, who's going to give us a lecture, and then we have a very special guest that will be coming out, a surprise guest. And we're going to break and have some food and some drink and have a wonderful season celebration for all of us. Okay, so thank you all for coming. And just one note, some of you who are on our mailing list know that we put out a fundraiser at the end of the year, and so that's one of the sheets here. If either you folks have the means, or if you have some friends that would like to donate even $5, $10, $20, we are a nonprofit organization, as you know, and everyone that you see here that's working is here on a volunteer basis. So we rely on donation and events like this. So there's a sheet here. If you have an interest, see either Jackie or Helen at the desk, or pass this around to some of your friends, and we very much appreciate it. All right, so without further ado, we're going to get started. We'll have some other announcements later, but we want to get started. And right now, Harriet Wagniere would like to do a candlelight celebration of the solstice.
Right.
Thank you, Harriet.
Okay.
Can you lead us?
Yeah, thanks. Is there anyone here who doesn't know me? Good. Hey, John, always the wise guy. Okay. I had no intention of doing this. I asked Bill and Charlie permission if I could just do this ahead of time. It came to me in the middle of the night, I'm supposed to do this. So you guys will understand. Okay. We are about to celebrate both Hanukkah and Christmas on the same day, which is the first time in my memory that it ever happened. Has it ever happened before? I never remember it. The 25th, both Hanukkah and Christmas. This time of year we celebrate lots of things. Tomorrow morning it's going to be at 4 a.m. and a few change. We're going to have the full moon, the last full moon of this year. And in 5 days we're going to have the solstice, which is the darkest night of the year. So when I look back when I used to do ceremony for the solstices and equinox ceremonies, I remember so distinctly that this period of time, even though lots of people don't like the darkness and people dread this time of the year because of the coldness, it's so important to remember what it really means. Ancient peoples would celebrate by calling back the sun, lighting bonfires and doing celebratory things to invite the sun back because they worship the sun. Well, we today have forgotten our natural rhythm and cycle, and I think it's very important for us to understand that in the darkest night, which is the equinox on the 21st, the solstice, sorry, on the 21st, we're meant to remember that, as the saying goes, darkness before the dawn. And we know that the light does come back. And the world religions celebrate it. And no matter what religion you go to, everybody celebrates a time of light at this time of the year. And I feel that it would be very important for us tonight to remember that. And to remember that in these trying times, the wars in the Middle East, Russia and Ukraine, and all the difficulties here at home and all the ill will that people have generated, it's time to remember that we're really only one human race. And I brought my unity candle. It has symbols of all the world's religions, and written in this beeswax candle is the word coexist. So I'd like us to remember that we don't have to like everybody. I don't think anything in metaphysics says you have to like everybody. We all have personalities, and sometimes they're not cohesive. But we are called to love everybody. And what we're loving is the soul beneath the personality. And if you believe, as I do, that there's more than one lifetime, it's a temporary thing, this personality. So it's going away after this lifetime's over, we hope anyway. And we are left with the soul, which is really part of the all, and we are part of the all. So we need to remember our unity rather than our separateness. So I call this the unity candle. And in celebration of this, I'd like us to just take a moment, and I'll light the candle. hopefully, if the match strikes, I will light the candle and ask you to take a look at the little candles on your table and this bank of candles here. And remember that you bring the world. You bring it wherever you go. And if you don't bring light, bring darkness. So make sure your light bulb is in and the light is turned on, that the switch is working. Because with your uplifting presence and the uplifting presence of mind consciousness in a dismal abyss. So let us relate to this moment. This is a very special moment. Look at all these people here together. We are one of many groups that are celebrated throughout the world. And we need to remember that we carry the light with us and to remind ourselves not to give in to negativity. So in that spirit, I am going to light the candle. It's a small flame. It's a small flame, but it will grow. Lights grow, and as our love grows for other people, so I call you to a very wonderful evening. I know Jon Mundy many, many years. We go back to the time when we were both young. He was a speaker at a conference that the founder, Yott, had begun. I was called to be a speaker. Jon Munzer, Jon was there, and was it the 70s or the 80s? I don't even know. 70s, late 70s. So long. And you're in for a rare treat tonight. I'm so delighted to be here this evening. Okay, I'd like Charlie Labello, our wonderful, who will lead us in a brief meditation. Charlie,
Thank you, Harriet.
are you all wired for? Okay, great. Thank you.
Can everybody hear me? It's a small room. Don't even. All right, we'll make do a bless our families and our homes for the holidays. And can you hear me? It's okay? All right. All right, if everybody's in a comfortable position, preferably with your feet flat on the floor. If your back is straight, that also helps with the energy flow. And we'll begin. Relax our minds and our bodies, breathing deep and gently. Take long, slow, deep breaths. Breathing in, we peace and oneness. And breathing out, we exhale any tension or negativity that we may have in our bodies. And just send it down deep into the earth to be neutralized by Mother. Do that 3 more times on your own. Breathing in peace and breathing out tension. Divine Father, Divine Mother, we thank you for many great blessings. To the Holy Saints, Holy Masters, Holy Gurus, we thank you for your guidance, your protection, your love, this. And we ask you now to please help us with our blessings. First, we ask that our homes be blessed. May our homes and our families and our extended families for this holiday season be blessed with love, light, peace, serenity, and oneness. We also ask that our workplaces be blessed. May our workplaces be blessed with harmony and oneness and love and prosperity. We ask for special blessings for all of the spiritual organizations that are working to spread light in the world, like Harriet just reminded us. May the Metaphysical Center be blessed, the Center for Pranic Healing, Mystical World, the Theosophical Society, and all the groups who are working to bring light into this world. We ask for special blessings for all of these groups. And finally, we ask that Mother Earth be blessed. The earth be blessed with clean air, clean water, happiness, peace, and prosperity. And for anywhere where there's fighting going on in the world, we ask for special blessings, especially the Middle East and Eastern Europe. May those areas be filled with pure golden white light, the light of God, the light of the Masters. May it fill those areas where there's trouble and fighting. And finally, if there's suffering in the world or anyone who feels alone, we ask that they be blessed and they're not alone, and that there are people nearby willing to help, and all we need to do is ask. We ask all this with thanks and in full faith. So be it. So be it. So be it. With gratitude, respect, and love, we thank you. And when you're ready, bring your consciousness back to the room.
Thank you, Charlie. Folks, I want to introduce Dr. Jon Mundy to you. Jon is the publisher of Miracles magazine, and he has many of his magazines and his books on that table. I encourage you to take a look at those, please. He's the director of the All-Faiths Seminary Miracle Studies program in New York City. He taught university courses in philosophy and religion from 1967 to 2008. He's the author of 11 books. I wrote one and I'm exhausted. I don't know how to try. Congratulations, man. His best-selling book, Living a Course in Miracles, right? It's now in 8 languages. He was introduced to the course by its scribe, Dr. Helen Schucman, in 1975. He's a friend of Harriet Wagniere, as you saw a moment ago. He was also a friend of Jon Munzer, my first teacher here at the Metaphysical Center back in the early 70s. Also a friend of Yott, the founder of this center in 1956. And a friend of John Hay, the person who inspired Yott to create this organization. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Jon Mundy.
Thanks, Bill, Harriet, Charlie. It's really nice being back with you all again. It's been, we're trying to guess, 10 years, something like that, since I was here last. I've done maybe 4 or 5 talks for you over the course of the last 40 years, believe it or not, or something like that. Our topic for this evening is living a lucid life, or awakening in the dream. So my first job is to prove to you that you're sleeping. You may know that I'm basic focus is on A Course in Miracles. I found the course, well, actually 50 years ago, this coming April, I was really formally introduced to the course. Prior to that, I was teaching courses on esoteric and mystical philosophies.
Excuse me, John.
Yeah, well, I'm not on, am I? Oh.
I just raised the volume, so.
Okay, it's Should I start over? No, now I'm too loud. Were you hearing what I said before? Oh, okay, I don't want to have to repeat myself. I said I got it. Okay, good. Anyhow, it is good to be back with you again. I was just saying that the basic influence on me in the past, literally 50 years, it'll be 50 years this coming April, has been A Course in Miracles. Prior to that, I had really devoted myself to studying esoteric and mystical philosophies, taught a course with that very title at the New School University from 1969 to 1979, as I think you mentioned, actually 67. And it's my life. This is what we do. And that's why I'm happy to be right here with you. So we're going to do some slides. And let me get a feeling for, how many of you have been studying the Course in Miracles? The students? Okay, so approximately half the room, maybe 60% of you raise your hands. Good, good. How many of us say you're serious students of the course? Okay, I got 4. Okay, good. So, when I get in a position where I can read this myself, the Course in Miracles, let me just talk a little bit about how the Course came into existence, okay? The Course was scribed. It was written down by a woman named Dr. Helen Schucman beginning in 1965 through 1972 with the assistance of her boss, whose name is Dr. William Tedford, who is head of the Department of Psychology at Columbia University. Now think about this. The head of the Department at Columbia University, most prestigious university in New York, right? His assistant starts hearing a voice, right? And Helen had always been a bit that way, intuitive, not really religious, and she was a Jewish background. She looked into theosophy, she looked into Christian Science. She was actually baptized a Baptist when she was a little girl, right? Her mother looked into Christian Science, but never adopted any particular. And then when she was in college, this often happens when one goes off to college, she decided she was an atheist. Right? But at the same time, she continued to have very vivid dreams, and she began to hear things coming to her. Right? So one day in October 1965, it was particularly loud, and she says, please take notes, right? This is A Course in Miracles, please take notes. And Helen started taking notes. And it added up to the entire Course in Miracles, a textbook, 669 pages, workbook of 365 lessons. So there's a lesson a day for the whole year, and I highly recommend that once one gets done with it, you start over, because you just got a good taste of it. It's going to take you deeper if you come back around again. If anything, you take it around deeper, it's going to take you more, will come to you. And then a manual for teachers on top of that. Right? I met Helen and Bill both at a conference in Chicago in 1973. I was at that time, you remember Spiritual Frontiers Fellowship? Have you heard of Spiritual?
Yeah.
Yep, got a couple of yeses, Harriet does. All right. It was an organization that was very, very active all over the country, but in New York City. I was the president of the New York chapter by accident. What I mean by accident was I had accepted the position as the vice president the year before, and then the president was killed accidentally. And so that's how I became president. I was like in my late 20s at the time, right? So then they also saw to the publication of my first book, which was called Learning to Die, back in 1973. And this was at the conference in Chicago. Helen and Bill came to a workshop that I did. If I had known who was sitting listening to me, I mean, I'm a cocky 29-year-old Ph.D. student, think I know something, right? It was a good thing I didn't know who was there. But anyhow, I met the two of them afterwards, and it seemed important we were supposed to meet. They told me at the time that Helen had just written this inspirational book. Well, I had just written a book, 132 pages long. There's nothing like A Course in Miracles, right? So I look at Helen. Helen's got these big glasses, little lady, frizzy hair. And think, isn't that sweet? The little lady just wrote an inspirational book. Probably got some prayers in it. It does. Some very good prayers. So that was the first meeting, and then 2 years later, they formally invited me to come to Ken Wapnick's apartment in New York City. And they sat me down and explained to me what the course was all about, and it's just been a growing process ever since. One of the emphasis in the course is that we are sleeping. Even now, we are sleeping. We're not really, really awake. If we're really, really awake, to be really completely awake, you'd be able to say, I and the Father are one. You'd be home. You would do what Jesus did. Completely wake up. So we're all struggling in this process of awakening. And what I'm suggesting is that even without completely enlightened, there's a stage before that, which the Course calls a happy dream, right? Where we are on the way to that. You're not there, but at least you're aware of the dream. At least you're aware of what's going on. You have a conviction that what you're seeing is reality, because it's not. It is just like a dream. But let me go ahead and start showing some of the slides to explain what I'm talking about. So this is from the introduction, near the introduction, because the Universal Course. This is a manual for teachers of a special curriculum intended for teachers of a special form of the Universal Course. Now, so when it says Universal Course, it just means this is one form. There are many, many, many thousands. It says thousands of different forms of the same teaching. This just happens to be one that happened to be presented to the head of the Department of Psychology at Columbia, right? And his assistant. Now, by the way, they never told anybody what they were doing. When Helen started getting the material and writing it down, they never told anybody until after they both had retired. Okay. Once they were retired and out of there, then they could start talking about it, but certainly not while they were there in that position. So, many thousands means thousands upon thousands of pathways home to God. You don't have to do the course. And maybe also add that the course is not a religion. Right? There's no hierarchy, there's no institute, no ministers, no priests, no rabbis, no churches, and there won't be, because it's not intended for that to be the case. It's just a form of study, just like the Kabbalah, for example, something that you would study, right? Even though you would maybe have gone to a synagogue or something somewhere, right? So, after his enlightenment, the Buddha met a man on the road who was struck by Buddha's great radiance and peace of the man, and asked him, my friend, what are you? Are you a god? No, said the Buddha. Well, then are you a wizard? Again, the Buddha answered, no. So the man asked, are you a man? No, said the Buddha. Well, my friend, what are you? And the Buddha replied, I'm awake. So what we're doing is we're in the process of waking up. But in order to wake up, you've got to first recognize that you are sleeping. Right? So what I'm talking about now is talking about luminous living. By luminous living, I mean being awake in the dream. So if you're awake in the dream, you see the dream, you see the play, you see the story, you see the soap opera that's going on in this world, and you make a very simple decision. I'm not playing. I'm not going to play this game. This silly game. It's the ego's game. I'm not going to play the ego's game. It's very difficult not to, because the ego dominates all of our consciousness, and trying to be able to step aside from that requires a lot of discipline, which is what the Course in Miracles is about, so discipline. So the body's eyes evaluate the outside, the ego sees the surface, the exterior of things. What it looks like on the outside seems to matter most. Transcendental seeing provides a deeper, broader, more expansive view. Lucid seeing is a revelatory insight, transpersonal, and beyond the limitations of space and time. So this is a direct quote. Most of the quotes I'm going to have on tonight are from the Course in Miracles. You are not yet awake, but you can learn how to awaken. We are learning how to awaken. Very simply, the Holy Spirit teaches you to awaken others. As you see them awaken, You will learn what waking means, and because you choose to wake them, their gratitude and their appreciation of what you have given them will teach you its value. And the basic way, in a very simple way that we do this is by literally, as Harriet was with the candle and told a moment ago, what we're doing really is just learning how to be lovers all the time. Loving literally everyone that you meet. I mean, you are giving your love away. Jesus in the gospel says, as you give, so do you receive, right? Well, as you give it away, it literally comes back. And so two people get enriched. You're enriched because you give it. The person who gives it is enriched. And you feel enriched because you were able to give it. So you've got even more that's coming back your way as well. The Course in Miracles says, the most basic law there is in the universe, okay? The most basic law there is in the universe is the law of cause and effect. So what goes around, comes around, karma, the most basic law there is. So, if I'm giving my anger and my attack thoughts to the world, guess what kind of world I'm going to experience coming back my way, right? But if I'm learning how to love it, regardless of what it is that's going on, right? It's the simplest level of this, the earliest level. It's just become very aware of how judgmental you are. And you may not think that you're being judgmental, but just notice how often a judgment is going to come out of here, and often a condemnation of whatever it is that you're seeing. It's like we're addicted to that kind of behavior. We're addicted to seeing the problems and then talking about the problems, pointing it out. Isn't it awful what's going on here or there, right? But that's just to reinforce it. What we're trying to learn is how to stop the reinforcement of the insanity so we can move toward sanity. So the Bible says that a deep sleep fell upon Adam, and nowhere is there any reference to his waking up. The world has not yet experienced any comprehensive reawakening or rebirth. Such a rebirth is impossible as long as you continue to project or miscreate. It still remains within you, however, to extend as God extended his spirit to you. In reality, this is your only choice because your free will was given you for joy in creating the perfect. So that's exactly what I was just saying. That is our task, to be switching over so that that's what we do. We're giving, we're not taking, we're not analyzing even. Okay? So we could think about this in terms of lucid living. By lucid living, I mean really being very awake. All right? So let's look at what lucid means. Lucid means clear, easy to understand. Writing and speech is something which is crystal clear. All right? Elucid means to provide a clear explanation of something. It was a very lucid speech that we just gave, right? Pellucid means extremely clear, like transparent. Translucent means that light can pass through it, right? Spirit, by the way, is translucent. You can't see spirit. We see what is material. Spirit is there. Spirit's all around us all the time. It's like radio waves. And if there is the Course in Miracles places a great deal of emphasis upon the presence of what I call the Holy Spirit, right? By the way, that concept of the Holy Spirit is in every religion in the world. Of course, it's not called the Holy Spirit in all religions. But the idea that there is a spirit which is talking to you, what the Course is saying is that we all have split minds. We have divided mind. We have two minds. There's the ego mind, and then there's the spiritual mind, or the soul, the spirit mind. Both of these are talking to us all the time, right? What we're trying to learn how to do is to quiet down that ego voice and pay more attention to the voice of spirit. And when I say it's invisible, it's like the air. In fact, it's the word for spirit in both Latin and in Hebrew is blowing wind, breath, air, right? So from the moment of the first inhalation, when you come out of the womb, until the moment of the last exhalation, when spirit literally leaves the body, right? because then the body returns to where the body was a part of you, earth to earth, ashes to ashes. It's no longer useful to you at all anymore. What the body is essentially, it's a tool, it's a mechanism, it's a vehicle, it's a communication device. It's the primary function of the body is that it is a communication device. It is a device by which we learn and by which we share with each other. That's what its function is. Right? But you're not a body. There's 4 or 5 things I want to try to prove to you tonight that do not exist. that don't have any reality. And one is the body. Believe it or not, 2 is the world. 3 is time, right? None of these things. No, there's no world, there's no body, there's no time. And most important of all, there's no you. In the you that you think you are as an ego-oriented being. Yes, there's a you, there's a spirit that's you, that's eternal, always has been eternal, but the current body and mask and story that you got, it's a story. It's a dream. That's why we're awaking from the dream. It's a part of remembering. It's always remembering who we really are. Up to the point of, what does Jesus say? I and the Father are one. So if you could say, I and the Father are one, and you mean that, you'd be there. You would have completed the atonement, you would have done what Jesus did. Now we're not there, and what I'm suggesting is we can at least get part of the way there, and with the hope that someday I do not claim to be an enlightened being. Only claim to be just like everyone else. The foot is on the path, we are headed home. That's what matters, right? So, I don't think I finished this. All right, so translucent is light can pass through it, so light passes through. Just as sound passes, if we were to somebody to turn a radio on right now, right, in the room, there would be there are channels that you could hear. You would start hearing something. That where did that come from, right? The sound, it's there in the air, right? Just like spirit is there in the air, but you don't see it, you don't hear it unless you're listening to it. One of the advantages of meditation is this for the purpose of shutting down the insane ego chatter long enough for that static to get quiet enough that we can really begin to hear a deeper voice. So a lucrative would mean a business that's doing something worthwhile. What's going on? So awareness of dreaming is the real function of God's teachers. That's what the Course is. That's what we're here for. Right? Become aware of the dream. Because all your time is spent dreaming, you're sleeping and you're waking dreams of different forms. That's all. Their content is the same. Where you see more value in sleeping than in waking, you will not let go of it. So we get very caught up in our stories, in the dream, and then we dream the story, we live out that story thinking that's real. When you're dreaming at night and you have a dream, you do not tend to think that those things are not happening, right? Most of the time it looks like those events really are occurring. You're sound asleep, but you think the events are real, unless you have a lucid dream. Now if you have a lucid dream, it's as though you're awake within the dream, so that you become aware of the fact that you're dreaming. That's all I'm talking about doing tonight, is becoming aware of the dream within the dream, so that you can have more control. Once you have a lucid dream, then you have you can decide to go left or right. There's some decision that becomes possible that might not have been possible before. So there's a massive amount of information that proves this. In terms of philosophy, in religion, this is Shakespeare. All the world's a stage, all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his life plays many parts. And then there Allen Poe says, all we see or seem is but a dream within a dream. As the Course says, the kingdom of heaven is within you, is not understandable to the ego, which interprets it as something outside is inside. This doesn't mean anything. The word within is unnecessary. The kingdom of heaven is you. What else but you did the Creator create? And what else but you is the kingdom? So there's nothing outside you. That's what you must ultimately learn. First, the realization that the kingdom of heaven is restored to you, for God created only this and did not depart from it nor leave it separate from himself. The kingdom of heaven is the dwelling place of the Son of God, who left not his Father and dwells not apart from him. Now, who you are in terms of the Course, it's not being accepted. You are the Son of God. Everyone here is a child of God. There's no one that's not already a child of God. So what our real job in is just to remember who you are. Because you are a blessed child of God, daughter of God, son of God, whatever terminology you want to use, it's all the same thing, right? So of course, heaven is not a place or a condition. It's merely an awareness of oneness and the knowledge that there's nothing outside, nothing else, nothing outside the oneness, and nothing else within. So it's just this one. Maybe if you have a really good meditation, you may begin to have that feeling, that experience of oneness as a part of that. It's the loss of the sense of separation. Tomorrow morning, by the way, or tomorrow I'm doing a talk online for what's called the Seeker's Compass about mysticism, a book that I wrote over there several years ago on mysticism. One of the basic characteristics of a mystical experience is the sense of blending, of merging, of becoming one with nature, whatever, music. What do you do when you fall in love, right? Why do you fall in love? All of a sudden you realize I'm falling in love with this person, right? I remember the first time I fell in love with my high school sweetheart. Oh my God, that just completely knocked me. I had never had that kind of experience before. The first love, it wasn't like my love for my mother and father. It wasn't like I grew up on a farm in Missouri. Nothing like the love for the animals and stuff like this was new. This is completely different. I just wanted to love. Just give. Just give as much as you possibly can, right? And giving more. That's what happens when we fall in love, right? The idea, the trick is to keep falling in love, to keep the love going. What you can do you got to practice that point, right? Okay. So Carl Jung, as you may well know, says, "He who looks outside dreams. He who looks inside awakens." So the outside world, that's where the dream is, okay? Big house, nice car, lots of money. I'm dreaming all this stuff. I'm gonna create all this stuff in the world. I can make all these externals come true. And you can, depending upon what kind of consciousness you got, and what kind of desires you got, and what kind of finances you got, there's a lot that someone might be able to do that way. But we all know that it's very easy to get lost in that particular dream. I know someone now who's very, very lost in that dream. It's exactly what 3 cars, now he's got 4 cars. What do you need 4 cars for? Big house, bigger house. This constantly, that's what's going on. But that external search means that there's no inner process that's going on. If you want to find out who you really are, it's not out there in the world, right? Do you know the story of the man who built bigger barns from the Bible? That Jesus tells us, one of the parables of Jesus. It says a man's crops produced it abundantly. And he says, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with all my resources? I know, I'll tear down my barns. I'll build bigger barns and bigger barns, right? And I will store all my stuff. And I will say, soul, take your rest. And then the Lord says, and your soul is going to be required of you this evening. What do you get when you die with all that stuff? Whose is this now, right? in the way of parable ends. So some of you probably know Swami Vivekananda. He says the common man lives and moves in the material world. The mystic leaves behind the objective world, enters the subtle plane of spirit, and attains a direct union with truth. And whether you know about his story or not, you may very well. He died quite young. He gave one of the first addresses at the first Congress, World Congress in Chicago in 1893. What was it called? The World Congress? It wasn't called the World Congress of Religions. Right? And it was said that there was a 2-minute standing ovation when he gave his talk. I was in Chicago a few years ago, and I noticed downtown Chicago, there's a boulevard that runs along, and near the front it's called Vivekananda Way. They never forgot it. They named the street after him. All right. So, these are a couple of my favorites. Albert Einstein says, people like us who believe in physics know that the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubborn, persistent illusion. So this is one of it's one of the things that's an illusion, I just want to, is time. Time simply doesn't exist. I know that sounds insane, because you've got a past, right, and a future, right? But that's really where the dream is. I mean, for example, take a time, let's go back to say, can you remember 16? You remember being 16 years old? Right? Think about that for a second. Where were you? Doesn't that seem like a dream? That was a dream that happened once upon a time in a land far, far away. There was a little girl named Corrine, right? And she had certain kinds of experiences, right? But that's long gone, just like the dream from last night was more frequent than that, right? It's all over, right? And the future's not here yet. This is why Eckhart Tolle really hit the nail on the head to make this one single topic so vivid and so real in all of his writing. The Course in Miracles says, and this is really interesting, God knows nothing about your past. What? How? Why? Why would he want to know anything about your past? Right? Now, in traditional Christianity, that's a different story altogether, because God is keeping records of your sins, right? Sorry, there's no record. Of course, America says God knows you only now. He knows you right now. He knows who you are right now. All of that stuff is gone. Never happened, all right? Except within the context of a dream. And you're holding on to it. That holding on to it is a terrible experience that we all have called guilt. Dirty, stinky, awful guilt, and there is no guilt in heaven. None. You can't take your guilt with you. It's just not going to work, right? There's no punishment. God holds nothing against you, because God has only love for you right now, in this moment. The problem isn't what happens with God. The problem is, can you forgive you? That's where the work is. The work is in you forgiving you letting go of the past, forgiving yourself, and that's the solution. But you've got to do that for yourself. You can do that. Huh? And then Pietro de Chardin, thus we are not human beings having a spiritual experience, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. I did my master's thesis on the work of Pietro de Chardin. I like little coincidences and things that I come across in studying history. They both died in April 1955, right? He was in Princeton, he was in New York City at the time, right? The same week. And I don't know why it's interesting, but I think it's very interesting that these two heroes died the same week in 1955. So what we call matter is energy whose vibrations has been so lowered as to be perceived To the senses, there is no matter. Now, I said a moment ago, there's no world, right? Well, this is a professor of astronomy at Harvard University, and what he's saying is that there's a vibration, and if it's down to the lowest level, then it's in its material form. But there's much higher. The Course talks a little about what it calls the higher mind. Lots of different esoteric and mystical traditions talk about higher mind, right? Obviously, we're not part of the higher mind, although I have a slide on that in a moment. Here we go. So, this is an outline of what the Course in Miracles is saying, developed by Dr. Ken Wagner. So, above on the top line there, the Course talks about two worlds, not two different levels. That's where alive, here and now, eternal knowledge, mind, oneness, God, Christ. That is, believe it or not, in Course terms, that's where you are right now. You are already there. It's done. But you're dreaming, you're down here. With a split mind. This is a divided mind. So on the one hand, we've got the ego, which is doing its number on us. We've also got the spirit mind, the Holy Spirit mind. These are giving us different knowledge. In between, you see the tiny man, that dot there in the middle? That's what we call the decision maker in the Course. That's where we're bouncing back and forth. What we're looking to do is to completely let go of the insanity of the ego and move only into spirit, so that when we do let this whole world go, we'll be able to do it with facility. Actually, there are so many near-death experiences you can watch on YouTube now. Hundreds and hundreds of them. It's just, YouTube has been this incredible, there's millions of channels now, right? You type something in, and then you want to know about something, type it in. There's somebody's been talking about it, right? And if you watch all the near-death experiences, there's some characteristics that are common. One of the most common characteristics is nobody wants to come back. Because they realize that coming back means to come into form, and heaviness. Bodies are heavy. Even light bodies are heavy. There's a lot to take care of. You gotta wash it, feed it, take it out to shop, and do all the stuff you gotta do with the thing. And in the meantime, it seems like so real, and it's not even who you are. And it's a part of the dream. Let's say that you have died. Let's say that you are not here. You are now in spirit. You are now in heaven. If that were true, wouldn't this whole experience just seem like a dream? There's this thing and this event, and wouldn't you even let that go? Would become your why hold on to it? If you're in a beautiful, why do that? I had a really rough experience with COVID. I was 24 days in hospital and nearly died. 3 different doctors said we didn't think you were going to come back. Paul got me out of the hospital. He could tell you what I looked like.
Looked like a little old man.
A little man. Yeah, I felt like I'd lost 30 pounds and hadn't shaved and anything. During that time, it was really pretty awful. But I had an experience about 3/4 of the way through. I thought that I was dying. And so I remember kind of, okay, I'm going to die now. I laid back kind of like this. I sort of fell back, and I was in the bed already, but just sort of rolled over. And I heard a voice. You can believe this or not, but I heard this voice. And it was very clear what it said. It said, go or stay. Either way, you will not lose your mind. Go, even a little rhyme. Go or stay, either way, you will not lose your mind. Your body, yes, you're going to lose your body. Of course you're going to lose your body. Everybody loses their body. And you don't even want to hold on to it if it's under break. Think how many soldiers on a battlefield somewhere, please get me out of here. Please take me home. Don't make me well. Take me home. And give me, and they went home. Thank God they went home. Right? They were the ones that freed from the whole thing. So this is the process, and we're looking to go into the atonement in terms of the Course in Miracles, simply means undoing or letting go of the ego. To undo, completely let go of who you think you are in the context of the world as a memory of who you really are. So, Course says, I do not attack your ego. I do work with your higher mind, the home of the Holy Spirit, whether you're asleep or awake, just as your ego does with your lower mind, which is its home. I am your village in this because you are too confused to recognize your own hope. I am not mistaken. Your mind will elect to join with mine, and together we are invincible. You and your brother will yet come together in my name, and your sanity will be restored. That's, we said earlier, that the Course is very clear. This is an insane world. And it's pretty obvious that it is an insane world. We were praying a moment ago for the wars in Gaza, the war in the Eastern Europe. And, you know, there's always been a war going on. There's never been a time when this, back in, was it August of 21, I guess it was, something like that, when we pulled out of Afghanistan, I thought, thank God, look at that, there's not, there were minor wars going on. There was no major war going on in the world at that moment. And in February of 22, Russia comes in to Ukraine, and we're back in war again, right? We couldn't stay out more than just a few months. Right? And even then, as I said, the whole world wasn't. There were wars going on in Africa. So this is an insane world, and do not underestimate the extent of insanity. There's no area of your perception that's not touched, and your dream is sacred to you. This is why God placed the Holy Spirit in you, where you placed the dream. And this is the little cartoon center for the study of why the world has gone insane. The world in this term has always been insane. There's never been a time that it's not been insane. If it were to really gain full sanity, we'd be home. Correct. So from Plato's cave to John Bunyan's book in progress to Shakespeare's All the World's a Stage to A Course in Miracles dreaming, the theme of dreaming appears over and over again. And now I might add that it can also appear in a beneficial way as a form of communication, in the sense in which, for example, in the Bible, there are quite a number of different dreams which were communication dreams, right? Joseph and the dreams for the Pharaoh. Mary is told in a dream not to worry about what's conceived within her, it's of the Holy Spirit. Joseph is told in a dream to take Mary and Jesus into Egypt to flee. Those are different, that's a different dimension, but the whole, it's a world, but we're a part of that world. If you are having a lucid dream or not, you're still dreaming, but at least your mind is expanded. And you actually, it's a good idea to practice becoming more aware of your dreams as a part of the lucidity. And I really recommend that the easy to start with, if you're not already doing this, whatever you do, just don't jump up in the morning. But as you begin to become aware of the fact that you are dreaming, just immediately begin to try to identify where you are, what's going, who else is there, what's the environment like, what's happening around you, and hold it. Don't open your eyes, that will really run it, but just try to feel what's happening within the context of that dream at that time, and then slowly let yourself work out of it. But keep recording it. In fact, it's a really good idea to write down, as soon as you can, some pieces about what were the elements in the dream. And sometimes a whole dream will come back to you that way. And dreams don't really last that long. It may look like they are, but you can have a really complex dream within a few minutes. You can be in all kinds of places very quickly. So, Einstein said the theory of relativity came to him during a lucid dream. many mystical philosophers emphasize waking from daydreaming. You know, someone know Gurdjieff, the philosopher from Armenia. He said that everybody was sleepwalking. He was trying to teach people how to wake up, even in their bodies. We're looking to awaken within the dream, aware of the insanity of the world and what's going on outside. So luminous living in the present, open to the divine. The body's eyes evaluate the outside, the ego sees the surface, the exterior of things. What it looks like on the outside seems to matter most. Transcendental seeing provides a deeper, broader, more expansive view. Lucid seeing is revelatory insight, transversal beyond the limitations of space and time. So this is what being a lucid dreamer then means: being an observer, a witness within the dream, your nighttime dream and your daytime dream. Of course, there's a section called Above the Battlefield, and there's a lot in that particular battlefield section of the course. It talks a lot about the higher dream, and the higher mind, and the lower mind, quite a lot, right? You can see the dream, you can make a straightforward decision between the dream without getting caught up in the dream. That's very, very simple. So, this is from Mark Twain, and I love Mark Twain. I don't know about you. I grew up in Missouri, very near where Mark Twain was born, in Florida, Missouri. It was about 19 miles from our farm, and the house that he was born in, which when I was a kid was just sitting in the woods, this cabin sitting in the woods. In 1967, they took it and they put it inside a big container, right, at the museum. But notice this. This is from Mark Twain. This is his book called Number 44, The Mysterious Stranger. And this, I'm going to read this to you. Life itself is only a vision, a dream. Nothing else exists. The world, the sun, the moon, the wilderness of stars, a dream, all a dream. They have no existence. Nothing exists save you. And you are not you. You have no body, no blood, no bones. You are but a thought. I myself have no existence. I am but a dream, your dream, a creature of your imagination. In a moment, you will have realized this. Then you will banish me from your vision, and I shall dissolve into the nothingness out of which you made me. You will remain a thought, and by your nature inextinguishable and inexhaustible, but I, your poor servant, have revealed to you and set you free. Dream other dreams and better. This is so in keeping with what the Course in Miracles is saying. This book, A Mysterious Stranger, was only published in 1916, and he died in 1910. A couple of his most important books were not published until after he died because his daughter wouldn't allow them to be published. Right? So, of course, is the dreaming of the world takes many forms because the body seeks in many ways to prove it's autonomous and real. It puts things on itself. It's bought with little metal discs or paper strips. The world proclaims it's valuable and real. It works to get them, doing senseless things, tosses them away for a senseless thing it does not need and does not even want. It's all just a part of the dreaming of the world. So this is what I'm doing tomorrow morning. If you don't, it starts at not noon, but 11 o'clock. If you're interested, I'll give you the information on it. So, of course, of power, fame, money, physical pleasures, to whom is the hero? To who these things belong. By seeking after such things, the mind associates itself with the body, obscuring its identity and losing sight of what it really is. So it's really easy to get caught in the dream, in this kind of a dream of making it within the context of the world. The bigger the ego, the more likely that this is all going to be what's happening for you. So, I've already done this. I've talked about Lucid. What we want to do is, let me talk a little about some ways to awaken from the dream. Here. Your sleeping and waking dream are different forms. That's all. In your waking dreams, the special relationship has a special place. The special relationship is your determination to keep your hold on unreality and to prevent yourself from waking. And while you see more value in sleeping than waking, you will not let go of it. What it means by the special relationship. The special relationship are all those relationships we've got up there that we're fixed on, that there are problems around them. And that very likely is going to be your primary relationship. So, I mean, it's the husband, it's the wife, it's the kids, it's all the dynamics that's going on around those people, and you in relationship to those people, the responsibilities that you have with regard to them or not, or the ways that they're not behaving that you think that they should be behaving. And there's work to do. There's a lot of work to do in relationship with that individual. You know, it's not just peaceful and quiet. There's a lot of stuff and you're thinking about that. You're driving your car and doing all the stuff you do. All the problems we have in relationship to the other people. And that's a part of the dreaming of the world as well. That we seem that we can't let go of that. I'm not going to do too many more of these. Oops. So let me talk a little more about this. So everyone on earth has formed special relationships, and all this is not so in heaven. The Holy Spirit knows how to bring a touch of heaven to them. In the holy instant, no one is special. For your personal needs intrude on no one to make or your brother seem different. Without the value from the past, you would see all the same like you, nor would you see any separation between yourself and them. In the holy instant, you see in each relationship what it will be when you perceive only the present. I saw an old black and white movie with Jimmy Stewart on television a few years ago, in which Jimmy Stewart is in love with this lady, and he finds out something about her past that he can't quite deal with. He can't let go of the thinking about this problem with this woman. And he runs away, and he gets in a car, and he dashes off, leaves her behind. And he gets into an automobile accident, and he winds up in a hospital in a town some distance from the town that he was in. And he develops amnesia. And she finds out about where he's at, and she goes to the hospital in this town, and lo and behold, he has amnesia. And he doesn't remember the story, he doesn't know anything about her past, and he falls in love with her all over again. So, what would it be like, you know, if you didn't know the story, if you didn't know the past, right? We hold people's past against them. We hold a story. And then, of course, we have our own stories that we're continually creating. Let me stop for a moment and just see if anybody's got any observations or questions, because I've just been running wild here for the last 40 minutes or so. Is it all clear? Mm-hmm. Okay, good, I quit. No. No questions? It's very, very, well, just be aware of this. Let me talk about one way. It's really important. I don't have slides on this, or maybe I do, but I'm not coming up right next. One of the most obvious ways that you can become more aware about becoming lucid. The Course in Miracles describes 10 characteristics of a teacher of God in the manual for teachers in the back. There's actually an order to the 10 characteristics. The reason why 1 is 1 and 2 is 2 and 10 is 10. The first characteristic is trust. I'll pass on that one, but I could talk about it for a while. The second characteristic is honesty. You've got to live an honest life. Because if you don't live an honest life, then you're carrying guilt around with you. So nobody may know if you cheated, for example, on your husband or your wife or something like that. You would know about that, right? Nobody else may ever know. You know. So now you've got to have this experience called guilt. Dirty, stinky, awful guilt. And this muddles up your mind, and it puts you into a very difficult situation. Do you know, some of you know who Jordan Peterson is? The psychologist from Toronto who's so popular on YouTube, and he's written several high-quality books. One evening I was watching a talk that he was doing, and somebody would ask him the question. He was being interviewed. They said, Dr. Jordan, do you ever lie? And he sort of thought about that for me. He said, he thinks for a few seconds before he answers the question, and he says, everybody lies. I just try to be really careful about that. I said, actually, he said, I try to be damn careful about that. If you want to be a lucid life, you got to have a clear mind. And you don't want to be carrying around guilt with you. Guilt is a very heavy thing to have to carry around. If you join Alcoholics Anonymous, which is a good idea if you're an alcoholic, right? You go through this, you want to tell yourself, God, and at least one other person that you're an alcoholic, right? It's getting that out of the system. Cleaning the system is true in every one of the world's religious traditions, especially the mystical traditions. The first step is cleaning house. Purification is principle number 7. Of course, there's 50 principles in it. Principle number 7 of the 50 Miracles principles says miracles are everyone's right, but purification is necessary first. First, we got to clean house, right? If you want to live a lucid life, you've got to have a clear life, a clean life, which means that it is free of lying. Now, this doesn't mean you're going to be totally free. I mean, it doesn't mean that there's not going to be white lies. It doesn't mean that. But you don't want to do anything that's really hurtful and heavy that you're going to be carrying around with you. If you're asked your opinion of somebody, you might not want to give your opinion of everyone. For example, is something that you would hold off on, but your opinion isn't the truth anyhow. Right? It's just an opinion. Opinions aren't the truth, right? So, we're going to really look at that. Honesty in everything. Honesty in finances. You tell the IRS exactly what's going on, right? But honesty, also, if somebody asks you a question, you must ask it as honestly as you possibly can. Why? Because you want to feel good. Yourself, you want to feel good. You don't want to walk around with this insanity as a part of your being. This is what I mean by living a lucid life, a clear life. There's no junk in the system, in the psychic system. What do psychologists have to do? Psychologists very often, somebody comes in, they're disturbed. What's Freud's great discovery? Jung's great discovery? One of it is that we have so much stuff that's buried in the unconscious mind, right? And that is screwing up our lives terribly, unless you can, part of therapy is you're going in there and letting that junk come out, let the poison out, get the poison out of the system, because it's only when the poison gets out of the system that you can feel lucid again, clear again, whole once again. Right? It's very simple, and if nothing else, you can't do it all through the path. Just remember, as you're going forward in life, in each, think as Dr. Jordan said to himself, Peterson said to himself, I try to be very careful about that. I try to watch it. Watch your mind. Of course, that line appears several times in the course. Watch your mind. See where it's going. What direction is it running in? Is there anything that you can do to keep it on track? And don't allow for this excuses to go into some gossip, for example, right? Gossip is a kind of a nasty thing to get caught up in, but how often, how easy it is to have that kind of thing, or just to point out whatever the insanity is that you see in the world. We just went through a long political thing, right? Which is still going on in some sense, but it's past a certain ridge in the thing. All right, so what was the projections going on behind that we're throwing out upon the world? The opinions again, right? By the way, you know the difference between a crow and a raven? difference is the crows have got these 5 long feathers that come off the tip end of their wings, and ravens have got 6, so it's just a matter of opinion. I'm sorry. All right. Those are called opinions. I feel like I've just been talking and talking. We're going to bring out Dr. Bobich out in a minute, but really, any feedback? Harriet.
How lucid do you feel you've become?
What?
You've been practicing a long time. How lucid do you feel you've become? Are you
Oh.
getting close? Do you have
No,
moments?
I don't know. It's hard to know, but I do know that I'm on the way.
Hmm.
I do know that I'm better than have been, partly by being really aware of this. So I do know with my wife, for example, if she asks a question, that I want to be as clear and as honest about that as I can be, right? Not even
And you're
fudge
still married?
Huh?
And you're still married?
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, I think things are getting better.
Improving, yes.
You know, because the love is there. And that's the main thing. If the love is there, you want to keep reminding yourself, I love this person, I want to do what's right with this person, I don't want to get foggy, muddy going on within the relationship, right? Yeah, but that's true in all instances. But it's our primary ones that we've got most of the dealing going on, right? Anybody else?
Is there a way you can encourage yourself to have a lucid dream in the evenings?
Well, that's what I was saying about as you begin, you can begin to do things. You can go online, by the way, and
Repeat
check
the
out
que-
some of the.
Repeat the question,
Repeat the
please.
question. The question's about what can you do to become more aware of lucid dreaming, the nighttime form of lucid dreaming. One of the things I suggested a moment ago was to just, as you begin to awake, you may see that you're dreaming. And what you don't want to do is to force yourself to just wake up, but to hang with it. And not just to hang with it, but begin to think about what it is that's happened, to begin to review what it is that's going on. As you review it, then it becomes more vivid for you, more real, so that you can, it's easier to bring it, and again, as I said, write it down if you can. Even just a few words. Remember when I had this fairly lucid dream, I wrote something down, and the next day I'm out working, and I got that vision. Let me go back. Banana peels. What? That's what it said on the note. It didn't make any sense at all. But you got to remember more than that. Yes.
I've been struggling probably for a few years, and it's coming to a head because I'm involved in politics as far as being aware of politics, not actively involved. And the whole fact that facts don't matter anymore, and people are not truthful, and they're lying, and you can't fight with everybody all the time, so you just try to but I find myself withdrawing, and I'm drawing and becoming numb, and I was never like that, and plus I have a job now where I'm not outdoors like I used to be to connect with nature.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a whole bunch of things coming at once, but I'm becoming numb, and I'm aware of it, and it's bothering me, and I don't know how to pull myself out of it because the outside world is deteriorating or whatever, and I can't keep up with it, and I can't fight it, and I'm not trying to fight it. I'm trying to remain true to myself, but I'm becoming numb, and it's bothering me. So
one of my favorite book lessons in the course is lesson 268, which is let all things be exactly as they are. But you really take it, just leave it alone. I mean, leave the politics alone. Leave the world alone. Don't try to fix the world. You're not gonna fix the world. You're not gonna fix what's going on in the church or whatever it is. And so, but at the same time that's true, there are things you can do that help to even just waking up your body more. Move. you know, exercise, whatever it is that you're doing. And that's why I put a lot of emphasis on exercise and dancing and do fun ways of taking care of the body. Right? Yoga, all these things I think are really keep the body. The body is just an instrument that we want to use, but we got to keep this instrument working right.
But it's my mind that's.
Yeah, I know, but the mind also decides about
Right.
the body, makes the choices about the body, right? So think about that. All right. So I brought somebody with me tonight that wants to talk to you.
John, one more question
Oh.
over there.
I just had a question about,
Yeah.
You said Einstein got the theory of relativity in a dream. It seems to me like a lot of inventors and things like that, they put in all the work that they can possibly do.
Right.
And then, once you've done, like, made your effort,
Yeah.
that's when you're more likely to
Yeah.
have the answer from the
Sure.
So
So did you hear what she said? Okay, what she was saying was in essence that a lot of inventors and philosophers and stuff like that, and this is true in a great degree, will be working on something and then the answer comes in the dream. Right? Right. Well, that's exactly what you got to do. I mean, you got to work on whatever it is that you're working. You got to think about this stuff in order for it to begin to come to some sort of level of fruition, right? And it does work that way. You got to keep this thing working too. The writers, we've got a couple writers in the room, I know, right? Writing is a really good way to do this because it forces you. I love my work. I was a minister for a long time, for like 40 years. 28 as a Methodist minister, and then for several years after that, independent. And you know, I had this great job. Every week I had to sit down and put my thoughts together in such a way that I could present them to other people that made sense and that maybe they would get something out of it. Think about it, you have to do that. That was a great job. That part of the job was a great part of the job. But that never left me. By never left me, I mean, I still do it. I don't mean that I'm a preacher, but every Sunday I send out a little sermonette. And I've been doing it for quite a long time. Leave me your name and address, or then you'll put you on the address or get my Sunday morning. It's called Sunday with Mundy. I'm serious. By the way, I have a magazine over there. It's called Miracles Magazine. I started it 39 years ago. And we're still in publication, which is remarkable. It's a miracle. And it's $50 a year, or $49 to subscribe. But if you want to start now, we're giving it for $25 just to get us started, right? But also, even if you don't want to, fill out one of those forms over there, and then they put you on my mailing list, and you'll get the Sunday piece. And that doesn't cost you anything at all. I also teach regular classes. I'm going to advertise this online Tuesday evenings at 8 and Thursday afternoons at 1 on the basis of the teachings of the course. Now, I just stopped this last week, and I'm not starting. I'm going to take 4 weeks off for the holidays. We'll start again, I think, January 14th. But if you want to know about that, and this is all Zoom-wise, you can find out about it. And that's totally up to you whether you want to sit in or not. There's a fee for the class of the course, but it's a sliding scale, so you can come in for almost nothing. Even some people do come for nothing. All right, any other questions? All right, so there's an idiot who follows me around. His name is Dr. Jon Mundy, and he wants to come talk to you a little bit. Now, there's 2 things about that. One of the things, by the way, that he likes to do is to entertain questions. And these are the questions that he likes to entertain. So I'm going to pass this around. There are enough questions in here that everybody can take at least 1 question. And some of you can take 2 probably. So he's going to come, he's going to talk to you, then he's going to ask if you have any questions. And here's your question right here. Start here, pass it around, just keep passing it around the room until it's got to everybody in the room, and once he's out here, he's going to share a little bit. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. And I have not done this except once since COVID. And I hadn't done it for a while before COVID. But it occurred to me the other day that one of the things I want to do, to answer your question, is to stay alive. What I mean, as long as you're alive, you just be alive. And one of the ways to do that is laughing. It's dancing, laughing, whatever you do to bring energy into life and into the body. So I'm going to go get Dr. Babich on. It's only going to take me a couple of minutes. I got a little cheat sheet here just because it's been so long since he's been out to meet anybody. So, and Bill's going to introduce him. Give me about 2 minutes. Bill got some announcements in the meantime.
Yeah, thank you, John, for that. Just a couple of quick announcements while we're waiting for this guest to come out. Please check our website for all current events. We have, for example, the next lecture is in February 25. All right, that's Saint Germain, Violet Flame Energy with Patricia Parente. Also, the next event also is January 11th and 12th, which is the Psychic Fair online. So please check the website. There's several wonderful psychics there that you can make yourself available to. And also in February 2, we have a vendor fair, which will be right here. So we will be contacting all of the vendors that have metaphysical type products, and you can come in. It'll be from 2 to 5, and you can come in and view them and purchase. People have been asking for that, and so we are finally bringing that back. Also, Charles Lobello, our Vice President, will be teaching again Metaphysics 2 and 3. Charlie, you want to tell us where that will be?
Yeah, the next semester will be the spring semester. It starts usually the last week of February. And we'll be teaching in Midland Park Adult School, Metaphysics 2, and Metaphysics 3 will be teaching in Lyndhurst at Mystical World. It's right on Ridge Road in Lyndhurst.
So check the website or contact us on the website of Charlie directly for more details on that. And also, we have just signed an agreement with the Unitarian Society here for dates through July. All right, so we just completed that. So starting from March to July, we now have the dates set. I'll be calling on many of the speakers that have wanted to speak during that time, and we'll be setting that up. So again, look at the website over the next couple of weeks. We'll set up that whole schedule for the rest of the season. All right? Any questions on the workings of the Metaphysical Center? Okay. I just want to give a shout out to our wonderful volunteers, first of all. Al Leon is wonderful here every time we're recording these, live streaming it, and putting it on our website. He also has a YouTube channel called The Bridge of Truth, which I encourage you to take a look at. So Al, thank you very much. Marie is always here. There she is. Marie always bringing us the wonderful goodies that we have for snacks. Today we have something much more special, but she's been doing this now for about the last 2 years. So thank you, Marie. All right. We also have the other board members, Charles Lobello, and of course we've got Jackie Smith there, our treasurer, and Jennifer Hamill, our secretary, who's not able to be. I think she's in Costa Rica right now. Good for her. And then past committee members, of course, is Harriet Wagniere, past president for 12 years, and Helen Van Slyke, who past treasurer, who always helped the board in guiding us forward. So those folks have been around, and we also have a couple of newer volunteers. All right, we have Virginia Russell now, who's helping us with fundraising, and that's the emails that you're getting. She's been designing them and offering those information to you. Thank you, Cindy. And Marina Marino, who will be leading the effort for the vendor fair in February. All right, so just a big shout out and a big thank you to all volunteers. And we are looking for one more volunteer to help us with social media. So if you know anyone, a friend, a niece, a nephew, a grandchild, I don't care, someone who's young and understands these things better than I, please, we need help there. And they don't have to do very much because our webmaster Masha Goldthwait, by the way, who's fabulous. If you ever need a website developed, oh my God, just give her a call. She's wonderful. So yeah, she provides all of the content. So this person for social media, all they have to do is take it and post it on all the various social media sites, which I don't even know where they are anymore. All right, so anyway, if you find somebody, thank you very much. Okay, now for our special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourselves. It is my understanding that Dr. Robbie Jon Mundy's astral plane has landed. And now, for the first time ever, in his current state of absent-mindedness, his sageness, the merry medicine man of mirth, the guru of gags and giggles, the very irreverent and almost revered Dr. Baba Jon Mundy.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Baba Jon Mundy. Do any of you know my teacher Swami Beyondananda? He is a very great man. He wanted to be here himself. He is attending the Ascended Masters Golf Tournament in the Himalaya Mountains. It is under his tutelage that I have experienced an opening of my crown chakra, and I have attained full realization. As you can see, I'm an interfaith clergy. I worship all of the isms, Hinduism, Taoism. I worship two girls. That's called Judaism and Jainism. So you might want to know what some of my qualifications. First of all, regarding my IQ, I had it checked out just the other day. I was so relieved the results came in. It was negative. You see, I went to a school for wits, but I only got halfway through. Seems I got caught cheating on the metaphysics exam. I was looking into the soul of the boy sitting in front of me. So I'm a teacher, I'm a psychologist, I'm a writer. I've written many books. Maybe you've read some of my books. How to walk your talk without stepping on your tongue. And then my most recent book, that is How to Love Yourself Without Becoming Emotionally Attached. So I wonder if this has ever happened to you. Walking down the street and all of a sudden you say to yourself, this has never happened before. This is called Vujade. Yeah, this is where it actually happened, but you don't remember. Now, some of you may be experiencing déjà vu. Déjà vu, that's where you feel like you've heard some of this bull before. I myself experienced both amnesia and déjà vu at the same thing. I keep repeating the same thing over and over and over again. Just the other day, every once in a while, I walk into my office and I think, somebody asked me if I felt much about the hereafter, and I said yes. Every once in a while I walk into my office and I will think, what'd you come in here after? Right? So, as I said, I'm a teacher, I'm a psychologist. I was recently teaching a course on death and dying. One of my students actually died. Yeah, I gave him an A. And then this other student had a near-death experience. I gave him an A-. So one of my students came to me. She was a Course in Miracles student. She says, Dr. Baba Jon, you have to forgive me because I have sinned. I said, how is that, dear? She says, every day I go, I look at myself in the mirror, and I say, you're just so gorgeous, you're absolutely beautiful. And I said, oh, that's not a sin, that's just a mistake. So, you Course in Miracles students, you got to be careful about. Did you hear what the Course in Miracles student said when he ate his fish and chips? Yes, the piece of cod is in me now. Nothing, or another student says, the student who slipped on the frozen lake says, nothing I see means anything. So my students, they come to me and they say, Mother Earth, why does she have to shake us up with all these earthquakes? And I says, well, you know, Mother Earth, as nice as she is, she still has her faults. So, you know, if you whose fault is it? So if you find a fault, this is especially for those students in California, just don't dwell on it. So there's all different kinds of paths. Right? So I haven't done this in years. There's different growth groups going on. There's a new group now. You have to weigh 350 pounds just to join. They have weigh-ins every week. You must go. And if you've lost weight, they make you go to infection. Yes. They say go and. Now you may be thinking I'm a vegetarian. I have to tell you, I'm not a vegetarian. I'm a humanitarian. Well, you've heard you are what you eat, right? Be a nut or a vegetable. I have a friend down in Texas who actually advocates meat. His name is Baba Q. We're in a movie together. The I'm okay, you're okay corral. It's about a couple of ascended masters who get into a fight over who had transcended his ego more. I sure won. I don't know what happened. So I say it's okay to eat meat, but you know, you gotta be animal. You know, Colonel Sanders, after he died, he was by the ghosts of thousands and thousands of chickens. Poltergeist. Heard of that, right? So I understand some of you have some questions. Let me hear some of the questions. Who's got a first question? Anybody? Did all the questions get around? Yes.
Are you psychic?
You know, Ellen, I knew you were going to ask that question. Next, Paul. How do you make holy water? Tell me what you do. You take regular water and you boil the hell out of it. Next.
What is the quickest way to a man's heart?
Quickest way to a man's heart. Yes, that would be through his chest. What's your question, sir?
How will I know when destiny calls?
Now, leave your answer machine on. Next, sir, you have a question? Anybody?
Can you tell us what it means living in the now?
Living in the now. Let me see. So, your questions in the past. Too late. Next. Yes.
Yes. Can you tell me about any of my past lives?
Well, you know, it's very interesting that you should ask that question. Because you and I, we had a couple of past lives together. Did you know that? Yeah, we were both lamas in Tibet. Actually, I were a lama, you were a yak. And then we both sat at the feet of the Buddha, and you kept asking the Buddha all these really silly, impertinent questions. I named a city after you. Did you know that? Budapest. Yes, Harriet.
Dr. Babajan, I'm afraid of flying because I'm afraid there will be a bomb on the plane. What can I do about it?
Listen, I've looked into this, and the chances of being a bomb on the plane are 1 in 750 million. Now, the chances of there being 2 bombs on the plane are 1 in 2 billion. So the next time you fly, take a bomb with you. Next. Anybody? Did you all have questions?
Dr. Babajan.
Yes, sir.
What is your sign?
My sign. I had it changed. You can do that. The lawyers love it. I was very embarrassed by my sign. I was a feces. But this much I can tell you, my Mercury's in the shop. My Venus is in blue jeans. And Pluto just pooped in my 5th house. He comes back and does that every year. That's called Pluto's return, you know. Yes, sir.
Dr. Barbara John, you live debt-free.
Do I live debt-free? Well, I have this to say about that. If there's anybody out there to whom I owe money, I want to let them know I'm willing to forget about it if they are.
Done.
Next? Yes.
Dr. Barbajan, can you tell us about the second coming?
About the second coming. Actually, I think that's a question for Dr. Ruth. Yes.
Dr. Babajan, how long would you like to live?
Yeah, I plan on living forever. No, so far so good. Next. Yes.
What is happiness?
Happiness. Happiness is having a large, close-knit family. We live in a different city. This is the Bhagavad. How to find your soulmate. Tell you what you do. You think you may have a likely candidate. Take off his shoes, you take off your shoes, you put your feet up together. If it matches, you've got a soulmate. Next. Yes.
Dr. Babajan, do you ever want for anything?
No, I have a yearning disability. Next. Over here.
So, Dr. John, what is the secret of staying young?
The secret to staying young is to eat very slowly and to lie about your age. Yes.
Do you speak any foreign languages?
You know, I studied Spanish with an underpillow speaker, but the tape skipped during the night, so all I could do is stutter in Espanol. Yes.
Dr. Babajan, can you tell us which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, now you know there's 2 different ways you can answer that question. Some of you are slow. A lot of people like to say the chicken because eggs can't come. But if you really want to know the truth, it was the rooster who came first. Next. Yes.
Dr. Babajan, can you tell me what is my special gift?
It's a blender you can get over by the door.
I need one.
More? Did all the questions get around?
Dr.
Okay, yes.
Babajan, would you make some predictions about the future?
No, I'm sorry. I do not wish to affect my non-profit status. Next? Yes.
Dr. Babajan, can you tell me how to better my memory?
No. Next? Anybody? That's not all the questions.
What is the key to the universe?
What is the key to the universe? Well, I've got some good news and bad news. The bad news is there's no key. The good news, it's been left unlocked. Anybody else? That's all of our questions? All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, John. Pleasure. So folks, a couple of quick announcements on the table there. There's a flyer for a full moon and pre-winter solstice celebration with Jon Mundy. That's integral yoga is the practice, so please take a look at the flyer there. And he's a friend of the Metaphysical Center, so if you can support him, we'd appreciate it. All right? And so now what we'll do is we'll take a break. There's food and drink in the kitchen. By all means, help yourself. Bring it on out here. We'll put on some music, and we'll continue the celebration.